Recently, the US dollar has been losing value. Traders are selling the greenback, which allowed the euro to reach its highest level since August. Even news about falling economic activity in the Eurozone does not prevent investors from putting money into the euro instead of the US dollar. Preliminary estimates on the Eurozone business activity considerably exceeded forecasts. Thus, the services PMI increased to 48.2 points from 47.8 instead of inching up to 47.9. The manufacturing PMI should have risen to 43.3 points from 43.1. In fact, it climbed to 43.8 points. As a result, the composite indicator advanced to 47.1 points from 46.5 points, whereas economists had anticipated growth to 46.6. In the United Kingdom, the situation is even better. In particular, business activity in the services sector jumped to 50.5 points from 49.5 points, against the forecast of 49.6. The manufacturing PMI surged to 46.7 points from 44.8 points instead of rising to 45.1. Thus, the composite PMI increased to 50.1 points from 48.7. Economists had anticipated a rise to 49 points. Regardless of the data, the growth in the euro and the pound sterling is hardly noticeable. The fact is that the United States is celebrating Thanksgiving Day. As a result, market activity is extremely low. That's why traders from other regions prefer to remain cautious, as the US banks control the better part of the funds circulating in the global financial market. What's more, the United States is going to disclose its PMI figures only tomorrow. In other words, the market situation remains stable. On the trading chart, we see that the euro-dollar pair almost reached 1.0850 amid the correctional process. Notably, the movement was defined as a local since shortly after. The quote climbed above 1.0900. If the price consolidates above 1.0900, the volume of long positions will rise, thus allowing the price to increase to 1.10. However, if the price settles below 1.0850, the correctional cycle will continue. Meanwhile, the pound sterling dropped below 1.2450 against the US dollar because of a technical pullback. However, sometime later, the price returned to 1.2550. The current pullback does not violate the upward cycle. In other words, there is no change in the market sentiment. If the price climbs above 1.2550, the volume of long positions will surge. Consolidation above this level on the daily chart will allow the pair to rise to 1.2700. And that's all for now. We keep monitoring the financial market situation. Subscribe to our channel and see you in several hours. We will take a close look at the US trading session.